AFI was formed in the summer of '91 in Ukiah, California, a small town 2 hours north of the San Francisco Bay.
If you guys are new here, just to let you know, I don't really explain the process of the makeup just because it's kind of hard to do an autobiography, if that's what you want to call it, an autobiography and explaining the makeup. So it's just more like visualizing, seeing what I'm doing, but just always remember to prime the eyelids, either with a pigmented primer or just a regular clear primer, whatever. Anyways, yes, I know this is not a metal band. I tend to do bands that I like, and AFI is one of the ones that stand out the most out of the non-metal community that I have much respect and much love for. So I decided to give this a go. So yeah, I won't be surprised if I have to do a part 2 just because this is a lot of information I have to cut down. So any hardcore AFI members watching this, sorry, I just didn't feel like doing a 2-hour video. So the original members all formed in 1991. Like, they were literally sophomores in high school, I think they were, and it was Davey Havoc, Adam Carson, who is still the original drummer to this day. Obviously Davey's still the original vocalist to this day. Eventually they included bassist Vic Chalker and guitarist Marcus Stoffelies. I am so sorry if I'm butchering that last name. So anyways, Vic got replaced right away with Jeff, so let's just make that clear. We're not really going to concentrate on Vic that much, but along with that, so they all formed. None of them knew how to play instruments, by the way, so they all had to learn along the way. Davey right away obviously claimed vocals, and everybody was like, oh no shit, choir boy. There was really no information of me able to find like how they decided for AFIREINSIDE, which stands for AFI, not to be confused with the lousy school that produces pretty crappy producers and directors in Hollywood. But this, oh, I got a story with that. But anyways, they were first gonna go for like asking for it, and they did had a few other names that they wanted to go for, but they just decided to settle for AFIREINSIDE. They were able, believe it or not, to produce 7 inches, like I believe like in their senior year in high school or coming to an end. Played, you know, they were able to do some stuff, but they weren't popular enough or anything like that. You know, just like all bands, you know, they were struggling. And AFI had mentioned that a lot of their sounds, you know, they consider themselves as a punk band, but they also had like influences from the Los Angeles and DC hardcore bands as well. So as I said, they were able to produce like 7 inches and I believe some tapes as well. But then comes in graduation, and they all went to different universities. So Jeff, I believe, went out to the East Coast, and the rest of them just kind of split out through California. When it came to Christmas vacation or winter break, they came back. Davey was approached by a fan saying like, the band has to get back together because, you know, they have broken up because, you know, they left or whatever. And he was like, why? Because, you know, the mentality he had is like they sucked. But the fan of theirs was like, no, you guys got to get back together because your 7 inches not only sold, but there was a tape trade going on. So Davey, you know, gathers everybody up. It's like, you want to do a reunion show? And they did. And here's what they have to say about that.
We had a reunion show in December of that year at the Phoenix Theater, and before we had broken up, no one really cared about us at all, and we played that reunion show. There were like 200 people there or something like that, which for us was just amazing, and the show was so fun, and we were all like, wow, you know, this is so fun, and this is really what we want to do with our life.
So the band dropped out of college, and they went ahead and decided to pursue music instead. This was something they were for sure they knew they wanted to do full time. So they finally did a split EP titled Dork with the band Loose Change, which incidentally included future AFI member Jade, as well as they produced a couple of other EPs. Behind the Times was one of them. They got signed with an indie label in Berkeley, so all the band members decided to move over there, and they were able to produce their full-length album in July 4th, 1995, titled Answer That and Stay Fashionable on Wingnut Records. It was produced by Tim Armstrong. The record had some well-recognizable songs on there, including I Want to Get a Mohawk, But Mama Won't Let Me. Okay, I think it's just Mom, not Mama. But anyways, and the album cover had a parody of like the Reservoir Dogs poster. Why did I have a hard time saying that? Anyways, eventually they end up signing with Nitro Records, which was by Dexter Holland of The Offspring. That was his own label. And then they released my all-time favorite 336 EP, which they coined the term as East Bay hardcore. I must have played that EP to death. I don't have the original one, sadly. I don't think there weren't that many copies sold of it, and you try to look for it on eBay. Oh, the price I saw. That was heart crushing. But anyways, I remember a friend burned me a copy back in the days when we used to burn CDs. Oh, the vivid imaginations that will cross my mind as I would play that EP. Like, I used to imagine I was like a dark fairy doing ballet to that fucking EP. I don't know. I just had a wild imagination, and I still do sometimes. So anyways, that's what helped me cope with my depression back in high school.
We couldn't get reviewed on our earlier records, but there was a film magazine, there was like an independent film zine that I saw a review of Answer That, Stay Fashionable in, simply because of the Reservoir Dogs homage cover, and it described it as Ramones 3-chord punk. Well, no, but that's cool. Ramones.
Y'all enjoying the early years so far? Because now we're about to get in to where they got Hunter, and then they got Jade, and the sound changed dramatically, and they confused the fuck out of a lot of fans. So then comes out Very Proud of Ya, and then eventually when they were working on Shut Your Mouth and Open Your Eyes, Jeff left the group and then was replaced by Hunter. Hunter had been in previous bands, and it was a lot more smaller. Even though AFI had like a small underground following, Hunter has said like it was like 20 times more the amount of popularity AFI had than compared to the band he was in before. So this is where the popularity really started. So Mark was replaced by Jade. Remember Jade from Loose Change off the EP, split EP Dork? Okay, so this is where he comes in. Jade and Davey, well, the whole band, but Jade and Davey really bonded when it comes to writing lyrics. So they were working on Black Sails in the Sunset. It was clear that the sound of AFI was shifting, and between Davey and Jade, the writing was so much different than before, and was the main reason of the shift, and that has been the lineup ever since. Davey, Jade, Hunter, and Adam. It set them aside from the punk and even some hardcore, some people might say. Davey has said that the change of the music and style did alien some of their fans. When they were going to these shows they were playing, which was all hardcore, and they were even being called like fags because they were doing makeup. So I'm like, which was, I don't know why I'm not that familiar with the hardcore scene, but I'm guessing they don't put on makeup. But yeah, so they were being called that, and then girls would even approach Davey and was like, why are you wearing makeup? And he'll be like, well, why are you wearing pants? So they've got a lot of polarizing reviews on this album, and a lot of it was good, a lot of it was just bad. So there really wasn't much in between, to tell you the truth.
At that time, what we were doing sonically and what we were doing aesthetically, though nothing wildly new in the grand scheme of things, but in the context of the shows that we were playing and the scenes that we were playing, did not fit. We were playing with hardcore bands, and we weren't playing hardcore, and we weren't playing punk rock. We were playing this other thing that we were doing that alienated some people. And
so obviously it was a very popular record, and usually popular records from a band that was so underground usually doesn't go very well for the underground community, I guess. So anyways, they also released All Hallows EP, which is the shirt I'm wearing and which we're matching. They released it around the same time. Nitro Records didn't even want them to release it because they didn't get it. It was something they just did for fun. So their record label didn't get it. They wanted to limit the pressings that AFI wanted. I believe they wanted 2,000 pressings of LPs, and they were just like, nah, they wanted to limit everything just because they didn't get it. They didn't think it was going to do too well, which is funny because some of the songs, I believe it was 2 songs, if that made it onto one of the Tony Hawk Pro Skater video games. Okay, so they initially wanted like 5,000 pressings of an LP, and they were like, nah, we're just going to do 1,000, their record label. But I think, yeah, I believe he said that they were able to get 5,000, and they immediately sold out right away. People loved it, and I believe like they kept it in pressing, and they were able to sell like 60,000, which today will be like a #1 record if you, or #1 album if you kind of think about it. So Art of Drowning comes out right after, and that is believed, Art of Drowning, Black Sails into Sunset, and All Hallows EP. It is believed to be known as like the Holy Trinity of AFI, I guess, because what basically made their, I don't want to say standard, I don't like that word, like, you know, their sound. And when Art of Drowning came out, Davey has said, you know, they don't like releasing anything they're not excited for, and when they release something, it's what they're feeling or what they're inspired to do at that moment. So whenever they release something, it's just very exciting for them. And there is just something about that, I don't know, like I feel like it wasn't generic. Like you hear a lot of bands say like, we're excited to release this album, whatever, but it feels so media trained, if that makes sense. Like when you listen to Davey talk, especially, or even any of the other members, you can really tell like they not only did like research of what they're putting in, it's almost like they're doing research on how they feel and how they want to like translate that to you. I don't know if that makes sense, but that's like one thing I always liked about this band, and what I liked about like all their albums, even though some of the, I'm not going to say I like every album, some of them are kind of questionable and it's not my thing, but regardless, it's like AFI has always been a band that they're going to put something out because that's how they feel at that moment, and that's what they're going through at that moment. They don't necessarily have like that same basic sound. I'm not saying that that's bad, but let's compare it to something like Motorhead. We all know how they sound like. Yes, it works for them, but I think AFI knows it doesn't work for them. Yes, there is a lot of dust in this damn video because of that damn powder, and it looks like it's snowing. Art of Drowning actually charted. It was on the top Billboard 200. And that had to have been one of their first ones that actually made it to the charts. So not only did it hit like the charts real hard, but they end up selling, I think, the most albums that they ever had. I believe it was like 12,000, they said. And they even noticed like the places when they were playing at, they were actually playing to 1,000 people. It wasn't like there was 1,000 people there to see the headlight band. Like, no, they were actually there to see them. So they noticed the crowds got even bigger. And Sing of Sorrow came out. They had even said they didn't even notice that it was that much of a huge difference, because I guess because they're just so used to always sounding different from, you know, obviously with the Trinity, that they said like they're just, as always, excited to put out new material, that what they're going through or what they're feeling and what they're learning, that they're just so excited that they weren't expecting to see the huge difference like other people saw it.
As long as we've ever spent, as long as we've spent writing, as long as we've spent recording, the whole process was a lot longer than we've ever taken before, but it was really nice because we were afforded more time than we had ever been given before, which really resulted in us being able to reach a place with the end product that we've never really been able to achieve before. There's an honesty in our music, and there's emotion that's in our music that is very real, that appeals to a certain group of people who may not have that sort of honesty and have that emotion in other facets of their lives.
Sing of Sorrow not only had like great support from DreamWorks, but they also, that was the album that like not only charted so well, but they had like a good profile, and they won their second MTV award. It was like the music, oh my god, why can't I remember it? The, you know, the VMAs. They won like their second VMA. They also did SNL, so it really made them more recognizable. They said that they exactly didn't feel famous. Like, I don't, maybe it was because people didn't really recognize them more. They said that was actually more with December Underground. Now, December Underground is a very huge topic. There's actually like interviews just dedicated for that album because it was like one of the, I guess, the one that really labeled them as mainstream. And there's lots of love for it, but there's also lots of hate for it. But obviously, the love won more. So I am not sure if I'm trying to poof up my hair, trying to make it look almost like back in the 2000s, like almost scenish, almost, not really. But December Underground is a whole nother album. I'm not sure if I'm going to get into as a part 2. I was thinking of maybe doing like a Davey Havoc makeup look and just talk about a little bit of that. But anyways, here's me looking shallow and doing those stupid, poses. Anyways, I'm going to end it here because I could go on more about this band. Thank you all so much for watching. Y'all take care of your vaginas. Have a wonderful day.